Welcome to the Produce Moms Podcast, where we believe there is a produce mom in all of us. I'm Lori Taylor, founder and CEO of the Produce Moms. For 10 years, I sold fresh produce to over 300 grocery stores in the U.S. And today, my team and I are fully focused on inspiring people to eat more fruits and vegetables. This show is just one of the ways that we hope to inspire you and your family to eat more produce and live a better life. If you like what you're hearing on the podcast, join our community of almost 40,000 in all 50 states and over 30 countries by visiting theproducemoms.com/subscribe. And be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes. Thanks for being here. Enjoy today's show. Welcome back, everyone, to the Produce Moms Podcast. This is Lori Taylor. So thankful and excited to be your host. And oh my gosh, it's going to be a great episode. We are welcoming Don Helms. He's the Vice President of Marketing, the self-acclaimed flavor guru at Shenandoah Growers. That is the grower brand of the That's Tasty consumer brand. So when you see the That's Tasty brand name on the shelf at the grocery store, all those wonderful herbs that they grow, that the mulling spices and the cinnamon sticks that you potentially have seen us promoting at the Produce Moms, this is the guy. He's in his team, and this is the brand. So we're so excited to welcome them to the show. And we've been working with this great company in a brand partnership, and we just feel very blessed to work with them. They have an incredible growing operation, and we're going to learn all about the story behind the That's Tasty brand right now. So Don, welcome to the show.
Hi, Lori. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, thank you. We're excited to have you, flavor guru. So tell us more about yourself. Tell us about That's Tasty and Shenandoah Growers.
So my name's Don Helms, and I'm the VP of Marketing for Shenandoah Growers. But I've spent most of my career in the food business, from packaged goods, snack foods, and dairy products, and salad dressings and sauces. And I also spent quite a bit of time on the restaurant side on food service for a Mexican restaurant chain, and got to do food and beverage development, yes, including margaritas, which was a lot of fun. But now I find myself in the fresh organic herbs and greens business. So lots of twists and turns, but my career has really been centered around food and flavor and a lot of different forms. So it's just sort of been the string that ties everything together for me.
I'd say so. And the fresh organic greens and herbs, I mean, is there a hotter product line right now in consumer mindset? I feel like with the surge of at-home cooking, people are coming back to the fresh herbs, rediscovering them, so to say.
There's no doubt. It's been this year has been tough in a lot of ways, but the people cooking at home and really beginning to get a little bit more experimental with how they get flavor in their food really become trendy.
Yeah,
it's just something that we love and we encourage, and I think people, once they discover how much more flavor they get in their food by using fresh herbs, they stick with it.
It's a game changer for sure. It's a game changer. There's a learning curve though, and that's why we are so thrilled to be working with you all. And your website, for anyone listening, go to thatstasty.com. Oh my gosh, so much inspiration. Let's talk about your product line, because it is a lot more than the organic herbs, and your organic herbs are a lot more than mint, basil, cilantro, and parsley. You have so much to offer consumers. Organic herbs, the fantastic stir-in purees that I love so much in my home kitchen. I have them all the time. And then, of course, I mentioned at the top of the show that we were supporting you with some of the seasonal items that you just launched. So tell our listeners today about the whole product lineup.
Sure, that's great. I'd love to hear you say that you've tried some of these other products. So the fresh cut herbs are really what we're known for, and you're right. I mean, basil we call it the king of herbs. Everyone knows basil. Everyone loves basil, and it's a big part of our business. But we actually sell over 30 different varieties of fresh cut herbs and herb blends. So for the holidays, we always do a poultry blend, which is great for Thanksgiving poultry. And we do grilling blends and things that are better for the summertime. So we do a lot of blends like that too, that sometimes come in and out at different times of the year.
Now, is there a margarita blend? That's the real question.
I don't know. I need to get to work on that, don't I?
All right. So in the organic herbs, you have in the clamshell, like the smaller package, you have a larger package.
Yeah, we have multiple sizes on in the little clamshells in the refrigerated section of the produce section.
Yeah, like the size of a deck of cards. Everyone listening knows what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Usually around there, about half ounce to an ounce or so on there, and then we do some larger sizes of the most popular herbs like basil. We do a 1.5, a 3, and even a 4 ounce of basil for those people who just can't get enough. And there's quite a bit of them out there, thankfully.
Yeah.
We also do the living herbs, the potted plants. So if you go in and you see those beautiful aromatic herb plants and it smells so nice in there, we grow those in our greenhouses as well, and we sell those at retail under the That's Tasty brand. So of course, again, basil is the king of herbs. So we do a lot of basil. Yep. We do a lot of mint. A lot of mint's very versatile. We tend to see it used more in cocktails. Shocking, I know, but
yes,
it's useful in a lot of cocktails. We do cilantro, and we actually have 17 different varieties of living herbs that we do in a couple of different pot sizes.
And everything's organic. All the herbs are USDA certified organic. Are they all greenhouse grown?
They are not all greenhouse grown. We still source some from field growing, particularly some of the more rare herbs, or the ones that you don't sell as much of, like culantro or lime leaves or lemongrass, things like that we still source, and mostly in the U.S., but we have a few that come out of Mexico or Colombia for some of those types of items.
Yeah.
We are in the process of moving as much as we can into our indoor facilities and growing the majority of our herbs ourselves.
Yes. And I'm going to have some questions about the indoor growing operation, and we can talk about how sustainable it is, but let's talk about the organic lettuces. Those are available in clamshells, like ready to eat.
Yeah. So it's a small program. We're really kind of in an early stage. We have a second facility, indoor growing facility in Culpeper, Virginia, where we grow our leafy greens. So we have about 5 SKUs under the That's Tasty brand that we produce and market locally around Virginia and the Mid-Atlantic area. So we've got a couple of customers that are selling that product. Martin's, Giant Martin's, Kroger, and Walmart are some of the retailers that are trialing those for us.
Are you forecasting expansion with that, or will it stay a Mid-Atlantic program?
It will stay in the Mid-Atlantic for a while yet until we can get additional capacity in some of our other facilities built. And also we need to learn a little bit about what's most popular and how we've got a couple of new items that we're developing based on some feedback that we've gotten from consumers.
Nice.
So we're going to continue to dial in to make sure that we're delivering what our consumers are looking for. One of the main things that we talk about with our leafy greens that we think makes it unique is, of course, it's organic and indoor grown, 0 pesticides, locally grown. We harvest, pack, and deliver usually within 24 hours.
Wow.
So it's
minimal food
absolutely
miles,
as fresh as you can get. Absolutely.
Maximum shelf life, no pesticides is huge. That's a huge characteristic for the indoor growing operations.
Absolutely.
All right, on to one of my favorite items, and I'm convinced it's I don't know, just when you figure out how to use these stir-in purees that are available, I mean, it can change everything for you in the kitchen. So tell our listeners a little bit more about that product line.
So this was a product line that was launched last year, 2019. There were about 11 varieties.
Yeah.
And basically what we did is take a lot of the prep of herbs out of play and created an herb paste or an herb puree. This basically got the herb, and could be garlic or ginger, which I guess maybe more spices than herbs, but mixed with.
Yeah, and chilies. You have the jalapenos and the.
You have a jalapeno. We have sun-dried tomato as well, and spicy harissa. So we've got a really broad range of different flavors. But what they all have in common is we mix them with some organic oil, organic olive oil, Mediterranean sea salt, usually a little bit of lemon juice, and then there's like just a little bit of binder in there, a gum binder that's also organic. So the purees are organic, and they can be used in flavoring items just right out of the tube.
Total game changer.
They can
Sauces,
be used,
stir fries,
use them,
toppings.
mix them with cooking, like mixing. If you're going to make a pizza, for example, you want to brush your pizza crust with olive oil, mix a little of that garlic puree in with that olive oil, brush it over that crust and get that garlicky flavor in the crust. It's better than anything you can buy at a pizzeria, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
So, and then there's really simple ways to use it. And what we typically find, and when we talk to consumers who have tried it, they start slow. So, well, I mixed the jalapeno with some mayonnaise and made kind of like a little sandwich spread. And then that was really good. So then I tried actually putting it in my guacamole, or I tried, so they start to kind of go out and venture a little bit further and start using it the way they would use other types of seasonings, and really find that it's quite adaptable and quite versatile when you get it out there. So obviously, garlic is the top selling SKU.
For sure, yeah.
Everybody loves garlic,
and
it's just very there's so many uses for it. And then we have all the herbs. We have Italian herbs, which is also very popular. And then the newest one is the jalapeno. So the best benefit I can say for jalapeno puree is you get all the flavor and the heat of the jalapeno, and you never have to touch a raw pepper with your hands.
Isn't that the truth? No risk of it being on your fingers. Yes. Any home cook has been there. You know what we're describing right now. Yes. You're absolutely right. No, great product line. Love it. Love the ginger. I'm excited about the jalapeno and all the other new product lines too. And then, of course, the dried chilies, the dried mushrooms, and the dried spices. And that is where we have been spending most of our energy at the Produce Moms, is talking about the mulling spices, which are fantastic, as well as the cinnamon sticks. But it goes, this category goes well beyond that, those two items.
Yeah, so the idea was, part of the heritage of the brand and the development of the brand was, how do we bring flavor to our consumers? So that's the name. That Stacy was really born of that sort of, how do we really put ourselves in a position to help people, introduce them to flavors, starting with herbs, and then this sort of became a natural extension. And we said, all right, well, what are some other ways that we can really help people get more flavor into their cooking? So this particular line consists of a number of different dried mushroom varieties and dried chili pepper varieties that we source from around the world. So these are not grown in our greenhouses. We source these all over from, really the best places in the world to get the specific ingredients that we use.
Yeah.
And then we also have, as you mentioned, the spices. And then we came up with the idea of the mulling spices to really bring in the holidays this year. So it's really the first time that we've done that. And it's great with ciders, and you'll see a lot of this time of year. You go in your produce section, you'll see a lot of displays of fresh apple cider.
I was grocery shopping today, and it was like such a massive display. I couldn't hardly get around it.
It's crazy, right? I mean,
it's huge. I'm like, are they really going to sell all this cider before Christmas? But the answer is yes. I mean,
yes, they do.
You know what? I put a big jug of cider into my cart. So
there you go, right? So that those displays work,
They do. They do indeed.
So that was the idea, and then of course mulled wine is super popular. I've done some work in that industry as well, and with cider, more adult alcoholic cider, and we do a mulled cider for that, and it's just people they come to get it that time of year, and they really come in looking for it, and so it made a lot of sense to do the same with wine. So. And, wine has lost none of its popularity. In fact, it's only growing. So we thought, what a great way to kind of put a festive holiday spin on wine for the holidays.
That's right. No, it's delicious, and it's easy. It comes together really well. And the package, it's got enough in there for probably 4 batches. And I love that. And so we have really enjoyed it. As a matter of fact, I was telling Don before the show, I'm planning on making some tonight. So looking forward to it. But Don, let's talk about the indoor growing and the sustainability story behind that. As you know, like the sustainability is paramount for our industry, but it's absolutely at the cornerstone of what Shenandoah is all about. So I'd love for you to share more about the sustainable growing practices and your sustainable sourcing practices for the product lines that you don't grow, but rather source, like those dried chilies you were mentioning.
Sure. So Shenandoah Growers really started as a farming company. So, there are a lot of indoor growers and that are kind of, consider themselves technology companies, and they've applied technology to farming. We sort of take the opposite approach. We're a farming company. And over the years, as we've developed and refined the growing systems that we use today, we've applied technology to make better farming and better food and make it more food safe and sustainable, and really try to kind of change the way that people think about how food should be grown and how sustainable it can be. And so we've never sort of lost touch with those roots as a farmer. So in our indoor farms, we actually still grow our plants in soil. And rather than fighting nature, we sort of use those natural processes to grow the plants indoors, similar to the way they would be grown outside in nature. So we use a very rich proprietary soil mix that we've developed. We use natural bioactivity in the soil that helps create a nitrogen cycle that the plants need, that nitrifies the plants. And we use all natural and organic nutrients in our water. And we use about 90% less water than a typical field farming operation would use. And then we also recycle all of that water. So it's really very, very water friendly. And then where we can grow vertically. So instead of just having one layer of plants in a given square foot, we can go 6, 7, 8 layers by using LED lights. Mm-hmm. And the LED lights basically serve the role of the sun, obviously, and giving the plant the lights that they need. And we can actually tweak the lights so that we get the intensity and the time and even the color of the light scheme to really be perfectly tuned to the needs of that particular crop. So it really allows us to make plants that are very, very healthy and are optimized for the flavor that they can deliver. So one of the advantages of growing this way and growing in dirt is we water the plants from the bottom. So rather than like their hydroponic systems that are only using water and the roots go directly into like a water or nutrient medium, our plants actually have to force their roots down into the soil and pull the water up, just like a plant would do outside. And the result of that is that you get a very, very strong and vigorous plant with healthy tissues. And so what that translates to at the end, once we do all the harvesting and everything, is we've got a healthier plant and it'll last longer, because all of these have very short shelf life once they're cut. So we want to maximize and get that to the store as fresh as possible, and then to the consumer's home as fresh as possible. And by starting with a super healthy plant, we can give you a lot more time to be able to use all the fresh herbs that you purchase. Right. So the kind of the sum it all up, we're not really trying to fight against nature or use technology to supplant nature. We're trying to mimic that in our indoor growing and really bringing those natural processes indoors.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. So let's talk a little bit too. I mean, or maybe just it's more of a call out. Don mentioned earlier that there's really no need for pesticide. And the reason that's the case is because it's in an indoor controlled growing medium. Don, anything you want to emphasize on that for the listeners? I just think it's such a huge characteristic for consumers when they're, considering product that's grown indoors.
Yeah, so it's really about using the natural processes and the natural nutrients and the microlife that exists in all soil everywhere. That is really what's part of the ecosystem of how plants grow and mature and have health. So it really works as a kind of a symbiotic ecosystem that we've recreated inside of our growing facilities. So it's it's just a natural process that we've created, and it helps in terms of everything from food safety and just, complete traceability and ability to really micro-tune any issues that we can see things that are going on in real time, make any adjustments that need to be made in real time, adjust lighting time, adjust watering time, and then we can recycle everything when we're through. So it really makes for a very sustainable kind of closed loop type of system.
Yeah, it's amazing. And let's call out also where the farms are located for Shenandoah, so that folks understand that it's, it's national, it's grown, it's a national operation, but it's kind of essentially locally grown.
Essentially, yes. So we are in the process of expansion, but right now we have a couple of facilities. We actually have 3 facilities in Virginia that grow herbs, living herbs, and leafy greens. We have a facility in Georgia, Indianapolis, Duval, Washington, which is in the Seattle area. And we have 2 facilities in Texas. And we also have a packing facility in Phoenix. And we have another, one more packing facility that I'm forgetting. But that's where all of the growing facilities are located. And then we are in the process right now of making, we're going to be expanding a lot of those facilities, increasing our indoor capacity, and really increasing our footprint to be able to deliver even more products locally where that makes the most sense.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I've got to come to the farm in Indianapolis. It's right here in my backyard. I gotta get there and experience it.
Yes, we need to get you out there.
I know we will. So it's the holiday season. It's a festive time of year, Don. We've been celebrating with the mulled wine and the cinnamon sticks, but I got to know, what's your favorite way to use the That's Tasty products during the holiday and maybe every day?
Well, I really thought about this in terms of the holidays and
Good. Yeah.
How do you make a great holiday meal? And I think most people, there may be some exceptions, but most people say that the turkey, the bird makes the holiday, right? So you got to have a great tasting bird, and there's a lot of pride in how people cook their turkeys. Especially, and I grew up in the South, so that was a big point of pride there. So, but fresh herbs and poultry are a match made in heaven. It's really a way that you can infuse so much flavor into the turkey even before you cook it. So we developed several years ago, and unfortunately I wasn't here at the time, so it wasn't my recipe. I can't claim it, but I can claim to use it. And that is it's a brine recipe, and it uses rosemary, sage, thyme, and bay leaves, along with some citrus and things like garlic and salt and some other seasonings. And every holiday we do a poultry blend herb, and then we do them in the fresh cut, and we also do a living plant. And so that's kind of one way that you can kind of get a lot of those ingredients there together. And we use those, and the recipe was originally printed on the inside of that product, and then on a little recipe card in the poultry blend on the living herbs. And so, of course, once we did that one time, we got a lot of feedback that people really loved the recipe. And now every year we get on our email, on our website, on our social media channels, we always get requests for the recipe for the turkey brine. So we'll put it up on our website, and we'll push it out on our social media channels. But it's kind of one of those things that a lot of people don't think about, brining a turkey before you cook it. But it's kind of an overnight brining process, and it just infuses so much flavor into the turkey. Even before you cook it, it makes a world of difference. And then, of course, we recommend sprinkling a little bit of fresh rosemary and sage and thyme over the top when you're finished as well.
Of course. Oh, yes. It sounds so good. Well, Don, that brings us to the end of our show. And now I'm like super hungry and ready for all the holiday meals. But so you've called out a couple of places where consumers can find your products, as you were talking about your mid-Atlantic, footprint. Is there a store located on your website, or any retailers or that you want to call out? Or for our
Sure.
listeners? Okay.
Sure. Yeah, we have a kind of a general store locator. It's honestly not the best. We're working on that, but it'll kind of show you what stores carry it in your zip code or in your state. But a lot of the big names that you would recognize, Kroger, Walmart, Safeway, we're in some of the Whole Foods divisions, a lot of the Giant, Food Lion banners, the whole Del Hayes banners. Winco, we're in a lot of Trader Joe's, Winn-Dixie, Harris Teeter, Giant Eagle, Wegmans, Lidl. So we're in a lot of the big chains.
A ton. I'm looking at the list right now on your website.
And then some of them we do some of their cut herbs under their own brands for them.
Sure. Yeah.
As well. So if you see some of like Kroger's Simple Truth Organic or Safeway's O Organics, we do a lot of those products for them as well.
That's great. That's great. Well, Don, thank you so much for being our guest today and helping us learn more about Shenandoah and the That's Tasty brand. It's, so many amazing products that just make gourmet at-home cooking and flavorful cooking so easy. So thank you all so much for what you do. You get the final word and the last goodbye, but glad you're here. Glad you were able to be our guest today. And thank you to everyone at That's Tasty for what you do. I love your products.
Well, thank you so much, Lori. It's really happy to have this opportunity to chat with you. And I guess I would add, after this crazy and volatile year that we've all been through, I hope that everybody just takes a moment and savors this holiday season and just being thankful for everything that we have and what's most important to us. And just taking that time to be purposefully thankful, I think, is the best antidote to the stress and anxiety that I know is still out there in the world. So blessings to all. And I say, go make it the best holiday ever.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Produce Moms Podcast. If you or someone you know would like to be a featured guest, just send an email to lori@theproducemoms.com. We know there is a produce mom in you because there's a produce mom in all of us. Join our community on Facebook and all social platforms. Help us change the way America eats. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.